Lawson did, and I'll let Minge do an opening statement, and then we'll go from there. I appreciate everybody being on.
Thank you, Matt. Welcome, everybody. Just love hearing Coach Lawson speak. She is just awesome coach, as all of you know. It's been neat to follow her and to see everything that she's accomplished at Kentucky. So thankful for her and our friendship. Thank all of you on the call for your coverage. Obviously means a lot to us. And also wanted to thank everyone that reached out with our tragic loss with Ben Jordan. It's been amazing. A lot of even people on this call reaching out. The support that we've had has just been awesome and unbelievable. And those people that maybe didn't even reach out because you didn't know what to say. And I'll tell you this, I didn't know what to say as a coach. And that was extremely difficult time. Like I told our team, so maybe I wanted to spend a couple of minutes talking about Ben. And maybe those of you that knew Ben or didn't know Ben, what an amazing person. He's, one of our guys described him as just a big teddy bear. He was a 6'9" teddy bear who just, man, he loved life and he loved our team. He loved our guys. He loved Kentucky. And those of you that, maybe didn't know the whole story, he was a practical joker. This guy he was just so funny. And I'll never forget the time where I approached him about playing on the basketball team. Matter of fact, he loved Kentucky so much, he was just going to put baseball on hold for a little bit and go play on our basketball team because they were in need. And I remember talking to him about it and saying, all right, Ben, you're not going to believe this, but I just got off the phone with Coach Cal. He is interested in maybe you being on the basketball team. And he could have swore up and down that I was playing the practical joke on him. He's like, all right, who put you up to this? Like, who did this? But it's been a hard time. And the thing that's probably helped a lot of the players and myself the most is just hearing all the stories, remembering the great things about Ben. And one of our guys said, Coach, if someone didn't like Ben, it was because they were probably jealous of him because of how gifted and talented he was. And so I didn't want to, start out without speaking about him. And also the amazing people we have here. We found out on the night of the national championship football game, and by 9:00 that next morning, we had some of the guys that were in town. Some of the guys hadn't gotten back to town. And there was Aaron Hogue praying over our guys who works through FCA here. And there's a leader of our athletic department, Mitch Barnhart. What an amazing leader. He's right there front and center. Spoke to our guys, cried with them, hugged on them. Jason Cummings, our sport administrator, our coaching staff, our staff. We have amazing people here at Kentucky. And our guys are continuing to get better with each day. The pain will never go away. Ben will never be forgotten. But we'll find ways to continue to honor him. So our guys are, going through that whole process. We just encouraged them. There's all different ways to grieve, and everything was okay. And we laughed and we cried and we spent a lot of time together. But that was the worst thing you could imagine to go through as a coach. And but I would just ask for continued prayers for Ben's family, for his dad, for his mom, his 3 sisters, just amazing people. And prayers for everyone that knew Ben, because we'll be hurting for a long time. So I didn't want to miss this opportunity to speak about what an amazing guy Ben was. So as far as our team goes, I got some brief comments here. This team is high trust, low maintenance. They're unbelievable from a standpoint of they do everything that they're asked. They are totally committed to the task at hand. This fall, we had a 3.6 team GPA. Finally, we were the highest male sport. We've been chasing that forever. Finally got that. We highest GPA in the history of our program. And you hear me talk all the time about the student person player. And we've had tremendous leadership. They really like each other from the first day they got on campus. It was just like, bam, they clicked. The guys keep telling me, Coach, I can't tell you how close this team is. and obviously been through a lot of adversity already. I believe that the team will continue to grow closer. They're committed to our team and the goals, and that's been really fun to coach. It's been really fun to coach. As far as the schedule, you guys saw our schedule. As in the SEC, as coaches, we decided to keep the regular format of 56 games. As you see, there's a lot of schools out there that's kind of deferred and gone another way. We chose to keep the 56 games. Right now, we currently have one midweek game to be filled, and then our schedule is totally complete. There's been a lot of change, as you guys know. We have 10 SEC series, and 9 of them are against ranked opponents. So that's exciting. As you guys all know, I love playing a tough schedule. We open up at North Carolina again this year. So I'm excited about that. As far as the attendance goes, I'm up in the press box now looking at our field. We're still finalizing some of those plans for the stadium and everything. But once we add our next midweek game, we'll have 37 home games, the most in the history of the program. So we have a beautiful ballpark, and we plan on playing in it. The biggest thing we spent the most time on this fall was our defense, and we had to improve it. Used to quarantine to really evaluate all areas of our program. And one thing I realized is we have to be better defensively. So we've changed our mindset, created a whole new culture about the importance of defense, and we've gotten a lot better. This fall was really exciting to see the growth in that area. We brought in 2 players, I believe, that have really helped change and impact us defensively. Ryan Ritter, he'll start and be our starting shortstop. This guy can really defend at shortstop. He's as talented, if not the most talented defensive shortstop I've coached. And I don't say that lightly. I've coached a lot of really good shortstops, and, you know, those are thoughts. He's got to go out and prove it, but man, is he talented. And then Alonzo Rubalcaba is a catcher we brought in from California. This guy can really, really receive. He can really receive. And those 2 guys have, you know, helped solidify us better defensively. So excited about that. Pitching-wise, the word that comes to mind for me there is depth. We have some guys that have some experience. Obviously, guys like Mason Hazelwood's back, who's thrown on the weekends. Jimmy Ramsey is a guy that has started for us. He's thrown in the bullpen. We're going to transition him back to the bullpen. We got guys like Alex Deegan, Daniel Harper, Dylan Marsh, Hunter Rigsby, Cole Stupp, Zach Lee, Cole Daniels, and Trip Lockhart. It's kind of neat to say some familiar names. So excited to have them back. The arm talent has been really good. Coach Roselle has done a fantastic job with those guys. We brought in 3 3 transfers that I believe are going to be impact guys in one way or another. Zach Kameen from D3 Co College. He's a grad transfer. Sean Harney from UMass, and Holt Jones is a transfer from Clemson. So those are 3 immediate impact guys. Want to really give Coach Coggin a lot of credit for finding those guys, and then he and Coach Roselle obviously recruiting to get them in here. They're going to be 3 big additions. And then excited about freshman pitcher Ryan Hagenow. He's our highest ranked player that we've brought in since Alex Meyer. And this guy's super talented. He's the package. You're going to hear me talk about John Rhodes in the same way. When you talk about a student person player, Ryan is a straight A student. He's an unbelievable teammate, and he's super talented. So some other guys we brought in, freshman arms, Seth Logue, Wyatt Hudipult, and Austin Strickland, just 3 really talented freshman arms that have had good falls, and now they're back up to a good spring. So offensively, the word that comes to mind for there is experience. We bring starters back at 8 of 9 spots, including DH. So guys that have some at-bats. Offensively, there's no doubt about it. You heard me talk about this guy last year. We're led by John Rhodes. He was a co-freshman national player of the year. He was an All-American last year. He's an All-American basically every poll you see here. This guy is the package. And I know I got a lot of questions last year. Man, you're putting a lot of pressure on a guy and, you know, for being a freshman. But, man, I just know how this guy works. And his leadership, his work ethic, his talent, this guy is the package. That's exactly what John Rhodes is. And then guys like Arajanu, Austin Schultz, TJ Collette, really talented offensive players. So excited about them. A guy that's really stood out in early spring is Cam Hill. This guy has done everything to impact the baseball game, defensively, offensively. So excited about those guys. And then last 2 comments, just some things about some of our alumni. Super excited for Eddie Brooks. For those of you who know Eddie Brooks, he's here in town. I mean, this guy graduated this fall. We had some other alumni graduate this fall as well. But Eddie Brooks, he graduated this fall after 30 years from the first time he stepped foot on our campus. And just a terrific story. And hope some of you maybe even pick that up, because when you think about that, 30 years, the perseverance, and that was really neat. And then huge shout out to Evan White for his major league debut, and then first year being a Gold Glove winner. I think all of you that have covered our sport, that was no shocker there, but to do it in his first year. So excited about those guys.
All right, guys, if you want to do raise hand feature, we'll get to questions. If you can't find that on your laptop, you can send it in the chat, and we'll get you called on from there. We'll start with Eric Decker.
Hey, Coach. Good to see you guys again. So a lot of the preparation for you guys going into this year is about what's different heading in. But as we saw with the release of the schedule, your guys' schedule to start the year is kind of similar to what it was last year. And then obviously last year you have the sweep at TCU to start, but then you guys finish off 11-3 for the rest of the year. So my question is basically, what kind of expectations, or what do you want to see out of the first series against North Carolina next weekend? Because you guys know that you can come right back to KPP and bounce back.
Wins, Eric. We need wins. I want to see exactly what we've been working on, our identity. I want to see our improvement on defense. I want to see our pitchers attack the way they've been doing. Coach Rozell's done an awesome job of making sure that we work fast, we throw strikes, we put hitters away. I want to see that. Everything. They don't need to do anything different. And then offensively, the plan and the job that Coach Williams has done, obviously we know how talented he is as a coach, and then Coach Hagen, to be able to execute our identity offensively and to hit on all 6 phases of offense. That would be exactly what we're looking for, just and no different, And then obviously if we trust that plan and process, the wins will come. But they don't need to do anything different.
Thanks.
Dick Gabriel.
Coach, you and I talked about this a little bit after practice the other day, but last year the injuries forced you to make lineup changes, positional changes, and I'm wondering, will you maintain those, and how did that help you in kind of a backhanded way?
Yeah, well, you're right, Dick. And we were shell-shocked last year. That was tough to lose 3 offensive starters really like that. And to our guys' credit, that just provided another opportunity for somebody else. And I would say the biggest adjustment this year defensively is Austin Schultz is going to move from the infield to the outfield. And he's done a really good job there. So that would be the biggest one. And, by that happening, it gave guys a lot of opportunities like Zeke Lewis to get a ton of playing time. And, so excited he's back, for his 6th year, which is kind of crazy, right? You start talking about having somebody here for 6 years. You heard Coach Lawson hit on that. He's going to be 24 years old. We'll have 2 24-year-olds on our team. And so that would be some of the 2, maybe – the biggest adjustment would be Schultz moving from the infield to the outfield. And then, the job that Estep did, getting his opportunity and taking advantage of that a year ago. So looking forward to see, those guys carry over.
Keith Farmer.
Hey, Coach. Almost a year later after this pandemic, can you take us back to that moment when you all realized that your season was over, and, just probably the confusion that was going on within the team just at that time, not thinking about now, but back then?
Yeah, good question, Keith. Bags were packed. We're getting ready to go to Nashville. Our basketball team's there, right? Our basketball team's playing good. We're like, sweet, we're going to be at Nashville right when the SEC tournament's going on. And Jason Cummins called and said, hey, man, you guys haven't left yet, right? I'm like, no. He's like, hold on, don't load that bus. And it was so fast. I mean, it was, hey, we don't know if we're going to play yet, don't leave, to, hey, the series is canceled. So we practiced. We're like, hey, let's just go outside and practice. And then middle of our practice, one of our staff members come up to me and say, hey, Coach Mingione, they just canceled Omaha. And we're like, what? And it was just a series of emotions. And I didn't know what to say to our seniors, right? I mean, they're in tears. We meet in the locker room and they're in tears that, hey, the season's over. Well, hold on. And I think in those moments, as a coach and as a leader, you just got to speak what we know to be true and what the facts are. And that's what we did that day. We just said, hey, look, yes, we know the NCAA National Championship is canceled, but our great commissioner of the Southeastern Conference, Greg Sankey, who I think has done just an amazing job with everything. I think we saw that with college football. But we had postponed our season. And at that moment, we just said, hey, this is what we know. Yes, there is no Omaha. There is no Vanderbilt series right now, but we're going to hold on to what we know to be true. And we will go and adjust from there. And, man, there was some tears shed. That was hard. Some of those guys thought, hey, man, that might be the last time I ever played. I didn't even know. I might have just played my last game. And thankful for the NCAA to give those guys their eligibility back, because we got guys like TJ, Jaron, and Zeke to be able to come back was big.
Jeff Drummond.
Hey, Nick, you had mentioned the defense a couple of times already, and the desire to kind of change the culture. I'm wondering what kind of things can you do for a guy, especially during COVID, to challenge himself to improve defensively? Are there drills that they could do in that regard? And kind of as a quick follow-up after that, with what Evan did in Major League Baseball, can you play off of that at all for inspiration for guys and say, hey, look what's, kind of possible?
Yeah. Well, Jeff, I'll do your first question. One thing we did during the quarantine is, I don't know about for you guys, but I was rattled. Like, it took me 3 or 4 days to process. Like, here we are getting ready. We're in the middle of about to start SEC play. And the next thing you know, my wife is stuck with me at the house 24/7. And it's just like, whoa, hold on. And it took me about 3 or 4 days to be like, okay, what are we doing here? Like, what am I doing? How do I lead our guys? And I hope you appreciate my vulnerability there. I didn't know. So one thing we did was we got together with Sean Umbro, who works with Horizon Performance and does a lot of our leadership. And we had our guys create what we call like these IDPs, these individual development plans. And we asked them to go through, and we even asked them that, hey, let's create a schedule. What is your day going to look like for these next couple months? And we did not want to look up in 3 months and go, did we just waste that time? Could we get better? So some of the guys, what we did, they created goals. They created some things that they would do that they wanted to work on, whether it was their body, whether it was their offense, whether it was their defense, and they had to go out and work on it. And they had all the drills. There was no new drills. They had all the things, and we provided them with opportunities and platforms and just encouraged them. And at the time, Jeff, they weren't even allowed to go outside. There could be no shared equipment. They're throwing balls up against the wall, and you're just trusting that they got their work done. And our guys did. I'm telling you, this is a mature group, and a group that I trust, and all of our coaches. And then Evan, obviously, you can pull on it. That was all coaching. I mean, come on, no. That guy it's unbelievable. I mean, Jeff, it was unbelievable. I think, I'm just seeing all the people on this call, and all of us just said, man, that guy's including Doug Flynn, is like, man, that's the greatest first baseman I've seen since, what did he say, Keith Hernandez, and that's coming from a Gold Glove winner. But the amount of pride that Evan took in his defense, we can draw from that. And we've shared stories about our guys with just how Evan, he never gave a swing away. His commitment to just his game was really fun to watch and to be around. And what a joy it was to just watch him go about his work.
Derek Terry.
Hey, Nick, with Ryan Hagenow, what's kind of stood out about him in the fall and early spring? And I guess, two, how realistic is it that he could earn one of those weekend jobs this season? Good.
Well, Derek, Ryan, if you were to ask Ryan, I mean, he didn't necessarily have the best fall. And but he's a worker. He's a worker. And he actually threw yesterday. And, man, I thought it was his best outing in a Kentucky uniform. I mean, his tempo was fantastic. His deception. Derek, after practice, I asked the guys, does anyone have any feedback, positional players, anyone have any feedback for Ryan? And, man, you had thought I was handing out like Snickers or something. All these hands started going up, and they were just complimenting him about his tempo, his deception, the movement of his slider, his fastball. Derek, opening weekend, he will not be in that rotation. But as talented as he is, I think you can just see that guy coming. And I think much like maybe Zach Thompson, if we looked up at the end of the year, that guy, is he pitching some of the most valuable innings on a team? I definitely could see it.
All right, we've got time for 3 more. We'll go with Josh Sullivan, then John Roberts, and Eric Decker.
Hi, Coach. You mentioned how difficult it was toward the end of last season, knowing the season was over and just everything that went with the pandemic. Now you guys are starting back up, but the pandemic's still going on. As a coach in a program, what's your biggest concern with that?
Well, for me, the biggest concern is the guys getting the virus. I actually had it in November, and man, it put me out, and had a fever for 7 straight days between 100 and 103. And, just thankfully, Christian Reeves never got it, none of the coaches, none of the players. I just don't want them to get it. That's my biggest concern, is them maybe, contracting the virus. So just thankful for Josh Walker, our trainer. He's done such a great job with our guys and our staff, and making sure that we have all the best practices and policies in place. But I would say them contracting the virus would be my biggest concern.
John Roberts.
Hey, Coach. John Roberts with Southern Slams Baseball. Just, I guess, shifting focus to the first series of the season, with playing a tough opponent like North Carolina. Talk about how that will prepare you for the rest of the season, especially with the SEC.
Yeah, there's absolutely. I think, for us, I mean, there's four weekends prior to SEC play. And typically, you got to have 1 or maybe 2 weekends that kind of mimics the league prior to getting in there. And that's what North Carolina will do for us. I mean, obviously, when you look at their history and their tradition, Scott Forbes is now their head coach. Thankful he got that job after being there, the longtime assistant. That was neat to see. So with Coach Fox retiring. But, I mean, that's a program that's been to Omaha. They've had All-Americans. They've got tons of big leaguers. And that's exactly what it's going to do. It will prepare us for our league.
All right, we'll wrap up Coach Minge with Eric Decker.
Okay. So I just have 2 final questions to finish off. So one, talking about the infield, I assume you're going to want TJ and Zeke out on the right. And then you already mentioned previously adding Ryan and Alonso into there. But what are your plans over at third base? And then just quickly following up that, do you still plan on having Dylan in the rotation? Because you mentioned moving some other pieces around there.
Yeah, so good question. So right now, Estep has played some second base over there too. Jake Plasiak's a guy that's played he's played some third base. And then Ruben Church is a freshman that's had a really good spring. So, and then behind the plate, you guys know this, Colton Kessler, he's back. He's obviously going to get some meaningful innings behind home plate as well, especially with his experience and leadership. So, those spots are all kind of, still trying to be decided from there. So Dylan's out right now. He's got a little oblique deal that he's been battling. So Dylan will not be in the rotation opening weekend. But obviously that's something that you could potentially see in the future for sure.
Sweet. Thank you.
All right, guys, we'll have John and Jimmy are both here. Since they're together here, we're going to do them separately. We'll get them on here in just a second for you. Give us just a few minutes.
Thank y'all. Go Cats.
All right, guys, we got John Rhodes here. Raise hands and we'll get right into questions for him, and then we'll have Jimmy Ramsey on in just a few minutes. Eric.
Hey, John. So I'm sure you've noticed recently as a lot of more buzz comes up for the MLB draft, and I'm sure you're seeing you're being ranked high, maybe even potentially first rounder in some prospect lists. Is that any of your focus right now? Because you still only played 16 college baseball games and you still haven't played any SEC competition. So is your focus more just on trying to see the competition in college right now or prepare for what's next for you?
Man, honestly, my focus is actually not on that at all. I finally got to the point. I struggled a little bit in the fall. I'd be honest if I said I didn't, but I just want to win. At the end of the day, sure, you can be a first rounder, you can be a second rounder, you can do whatever you want, but if we win, man, that's what's gonna matter. These are my brothers, these are my teammates, and I'd go to war with them. And at the end of the day, man, I want to go to Omaha. I want to win a Super. I want to win the SEC tournament. I just want to win, and whatever happens with me personally, that happens. But if I go out there every game, just try my best to just win that game, just do whatever it takes, I think it'll all handle itself out.
Dick Gabriel.
Yeah, John, you guys as a team were really rolling last year when things were stopped short, and you had gotten off to such a great start. You were rolling yourself. Can you describe what it was like emotionally for you and your teammates to suddenly have that taken away from you?
Man, that was about the worst thing I could possibly imagine. That was the most fun I've ever had playing baseball right there. And then just one day, it's just boom, it's cut off. And it's hard to, there's a lot of anger. I'd be lying to you if I said we all didn't really struggle with it, talk about it all the time. And when we had to go our separate ways, I driving home, I still remember the feeling. I live 4.5 hours from here, and I was just I was so mad. I've never been that mad in my life. And I was why this? But it's for a global pandemic, and you've seen how many people have died from it. And so it's one of those things, man, it's beyond baseball. So when I came to that realization and realized hey, there's nothing I can do about it from here. There's nothing we can do about it. Just let's continue to get better. Let's see what we can do. Let's make the most of it. And so that's a time that we all spent away from each other, but we all spent getting better so we could succeed this season.
John Wong.
Hey, John, I heard Coach Mingione bragging on you the other day. He should be your publicist, but here's what he said. He said, this guy is a leader. He has a burning desire to be great. He's helped bring a lot of guys with him from his work ethic, from his coachability. He's wired different. You don't get to coach a lot of guys like this. What do you think when you hear something like that from your coach, and how are you wired differently?
Oh, man, Coach Mingione's the best. There's not much better. He just sees a lot in guys. He sees some differences in guys, and he took a chance on me even going back to when I committed here. Basically, after my freshman year of high school, and my back was broken, and I remember having a phone call with him, and I got off the phone. I told my parents, hey, I'm going to Kentucky. Never been here before, never done anything, hadn't even got an offer. And I was that's where I'm going. And so from there, we've always had a really, really good relationship. I think we always saw the good in each other. And so that's built, and it's an awesome spot it is right now. But I think when he talks about I'm wired different, I think it's just kind of goes back to my work ethic. I think I'm up here hitting a lot. It's just what I love to do. Nothing crazy. He has his evaluation of me, and it is what it is, but I just love to hit, man. It sounds as simple as that. It's kind of dumb, but it's just, I love to do it.
John Roberts.
Hey, John. With this offseason being what it was, and possibly not having a whole lot of team activities and stuff like that, talk about what you did during the offseason to prepare, especially when you couldn't be around everybody else.
Yeah, so like Coach Min said earlier, we all kind of came up with daily routines and tried to stick to them as much as possible. And so for me, I have two really close buddies back home. One plays in North Carolina and one plays at MTSU. And we honestly just hung out together every day. We'd wake up in the morning, go work out about 11, then we'd hit at about 2, then we'd hang out, and then we'd hit later that night. So we basically hit twice a day, worked out once, worked out 5 times a week, hit 7 days a week. And it's just a time that we all saw as a time just to get better. And we're like, this is what it is. A lot of people don't have access to certain resources right now and certain facilities, and we do. So let's make the most of it and let's go and let's push ourselves to be as good as we can be.
Jeff Drummond.
Yeah, John, Coach spent a lot of time talking about defense and trying to change, the culture in the program there. That's the big area for you guys to improve this season. What have you done kind of personally, and what areas are you trying to pick up and improve on this season?
Yeah, so defense was the thing last year that I struggled with a lot. I was kind of a mental midget. And so this is it. It took a lot out of me. It took a lot of pride out of myself to struggle that much. So for me, I've taken a lot of outfield reps. I'll be probably starting out in right field and just trying to get as many live reps in BP. We come at night, hit on the field, and I just go out there while they're hitting, just try to get as many live reads as possible. It's not an easy spot, but, it's something I feel like if I can master, it's going to help me in the batter's box. It's going to help me wherever, just mentally, confidence. And, defense isn't necessarily my strength, I would say, but it's something I got to work on every day. And it's something that as a team, we're working on every single day. And I like where we're at. This is the best I've seen us defensively, even pregame stuff and just individual NDD times. We look really good right now.
If I could follow up on that real quick, with the COVID situation, defense is such a team-oriented deal. What sort of things did you do, just that you could do on your own or with somebody else, pulling out there to work with individually?
Yeah, and like I said, there's not too much outfield-wise. You can take fungo or take whatever, but really I would just, when my friends would hit BP, we'd hit on the field. We'd usually hit on the field at like 2 that time. But usually when my friends would hit BP, I'd go out there to like left field, right field, shag, center. Because, that's the best reps you can get are those live reps. There's nothing, no crazy drill that you can do. Like infield, when I was training for infield last offseason, I could just go take fungo from any of my dad's friends or any of my friends' parents and stuff like that. But for outfield, man, it's like I said, it's all about those live reps, just getting the first step off the ball and just going, fully committing. So just getting more comfortable there, and it's really just a comfort thing out there.
Did they see outfield as kind of your long-term projection?
I believe so. I think the utility, or kind of a utility spot, is if you look at kind of the way the game's going right now, you can play wherever. It gives you the best opportunity because, there's only, however many corner outfielders, how many outfielders, but you can fill a role wherever. And so that's kind of my goal right there, is to get back to just kind of going wherever the team needs me. And like last fall, I played pretty much like 7 positions, and I enjoyed it. I really did. And it's nice, like going out there and not completely knowing where you're going to play, but wherever, me personally, like I said, I like to do whatever helps the team win. And if I can get back to that point where I can play some infield this year or in the future, wherever, like that'd be awesome if it's going to help the team win.
Thank you.
All right, we'll go Eric, and then we'll wrap up with Dick and get Jimmy in here.
Yeah, hey, John. So obviously it's going to be difficult to repeat batting .426 and leading the league in doubles to start the year. So how do you think you're mentally going to prepare if and when a slump does come for you at the plate?
Yeah, this is something I've struggled with a lot. I worked on it this summer. So for me, really, even last year, like I got in a role and I just kind of didn't really think about it, and I never really had a negative part of the season, I feel like. And so this summer, I actually went through a little bit, and the biggest thing for me was actually Troy Squires, former player here. I talked to him a lot, and if you've ever talked to Troy, he's the most calm person ever. He's just like super monotone, just everything. And so I always hear that Troy voice in my head. He's just like, hey, it's okay, calm down, like it's fine. So whether I'm 0 for 2 or 2 for 2, it's like, all right, like it's fine. It's just keep going. It doesn't really matter. And I actually heard something about Austin Hagenow the other day, and Coach D, our strength coach, actually told me this. He said Hagenow, he'd go 0 for 4 on a Friday. And you'd be like, oh, Kuzi, like, what are you going to do, man? And he's like, it means I can still go 4 for 8 on Saturday and Sunday. And so I think that's a mindset that I can carry over, just learning from past guys like that, and learning from guys like Colin Calgill and Evan White. I talk to Evan White pretty frequently, and he gave me this book to read and all this stuff. And it's just having those guys to lean on even when times come, or can be even another resource for me to go forward. But like I said, it's really, man, it's just staying level-headed, being committed to my routines and being committed to the process, not getting caught up in the numbers. just going out there trying to win. And if I haven't over 4 days, it's fine. Just continue to go back the next day and try to win, and it'll work itself out in the long run.
Sweet, thanks.
All right, we'll wrap up with Dick Gabriel.
Yeah, John, last year you guys lost 3 really good players in a span of it seemed like a few hours. And suddenly there's a lot of moving parts with the lineup, and the coaches had to make decisions, and you were part of that being moved around. Could that be any kind of help this year? You talked about versatility on defense, but, is it more valuable to have a set lineup, knowing when you come to the ballpark where you're going to be that day?
I wouldn't necessarily say that. I would just say I think we have a lot of guys in a lot of places that can contribute to the team, and we have a lot of depth of positions. You can form the lineup a bunch of ways. Like I said, I think this year wherever I fall is where I fall, and I'll go wherever they need me to go. But I think we have a ton of guys that can play wherever and that are actually really good bats and really good ball players, and so I'm just looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to see what we can piece together and just get a lineup that, whether it's changing every day or it's stuck, just something that's going to produce and going to bring us wins back here.
All right, guys, we'll get Jimmy on here in just a second for you.
Thank you.
Good.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we got Jimmy Ramsey. Feels like he's been here 8 years. This is only his 4th. We'll raise hands and we'll get the questions. Dick, do you have one, or did you just leave it up from last time?
I have one.
Go ahead.
Jimmy, apparently you're going to be moved back to the bullpen. Obviously a chance for more appearances. How will your experience there pay off as a veteran?
Yeah, we've talked about it. And they said that we need somebody that can come in at any point in any game, whether the situation. So I'm not necessarily a closer, but somebody that can come in any leverage situation whenever we need, whether it be 3 innings, 1 out, whatever it may be. And with my experience on the pitching staff, this will help me help guys like Wyatt, who's going to be in the back end of the bullpen as well. Some of these younger guys that may need work with pitching out of the bullpen that have never pitched out of the pen. My experience will help them. I can be a shoulder to lean on for people that need help if they're struggling or whatever it is. And other guys like Sean, who started at UMass, and he's going to be out of the back end of the bullpen as well. He can lean on me to ask me questions, stuff like that, because he's never been out of the bullpen as well. So I'll be a good help for a lot of those younger guys in transfers, since I have thrown out of the pen my freshman year and some of my sophomore year. So they wanted me to do that, and that's what's going to be best for the team, because we need a guy that can be out of the pen at any point in time.
John Wong.
Hey, Jimmy, it just means more. You've been through the gauntlet of the SEC several times. What advice do you have for maybe some of the younger guys who don't know how difficult it really is going to be?
Biggest thing I can say is it's a long season. I might get punched in the face right away, but it is a long SEC play. I mean, it's 10 weeks of the best baseball you've ever played before. So you just can't get your head down if you're struggling, because if your head's down in the SEC, it's not going to get back up if you don't fight it. Because, I mean, it is. I've had my downs in the SEC, and I struggled with that to keep my head up throughout some of those times, and it kicks you in the butt if you don't have your head up. So that's my biggest thing is there's a lot of weeks, a lot of games. If you have one bad performance, you can't let that affect you going out the next time. Otherwise, you're going to get in a spiral that you can't get out of.
Eric.
Hey, Jimmy. So obviously last year was such a small sample size, but I was just wondering what work you've done this offseason to try to cut down on the walk rate.
So a lot of that was trying to be a perfect pitcher. So that was me and coaches all talked about, was trying to place the ball and not necessarily just trust my stuff. That's something in the fall. I only had 3 walks throughout the whole fall. He just said, I mean, your stuff when you're in the zone is when it's best. You don't need to place it out of the zone, do anything like that. I mean, if you throw a 2-seam down the middle, you're going to have a better chance getting a guy out than throwing a ball. So that's the biggest thing, was trusting my stuff and not trying to be a perfect pitcher and just kind of attacking the hitters and being aggressive and just putting the ball in the zone, because that's when the best things happens, when you pour the ball in the zone.
Sweet. Thanks.
Keith Farmer.
Yeah, we were just talking with the other guys about how, the season ended last year, and John was talking about how he felt and the anger he felt. Just take me back to that time with you and just confusion, anger, whatever you were feeling, and how you dealt with it.
So the biggest thing was I was just disappointed because our pitching staff was really getting into a groove. I mean, that last weekend we did really well. All of our starters went more than 5 innings. We gave up minimal runs. Offense was starting to click. So it was just kind of like I was in shock. So I was like, damn, this is like we were really starting to get going. Like we were really starting to find a groove. And I actually stayed here for a while after that happened. I finished my classes and stuff, and it was kind of weird to just not be able to go to the field, even though I was here, had to find other places to throw. I mean, it was sad because it was like, well, I mean, at that time I was worrying about it. And now that I'm kind of matured a little bit throughout this, knowing that it's out of my control, I was worrying about stuff that I can't control. Like I can't come to the field. And I was complaining about it, and if I complain, nothing's going to happen. So I started to realize that it's out of my control. You got to stop worrying about what I can't control. So then I just kind of worked on myself, started reading more books, just worked on myself, worked on my mental game, all the stuff that I could work on without being able to go to the field. So I had that little time span where I was mad, disappointed, confused. But overall, I was pretty good about it, and I worked on myself, got a lot of running in, did stuff that I could do where I didn't have a weight room to go to. So I got some stuff done, but yeah, I was a little angry because, we were about to go to Vanderbilt, and I thought at that point our team was ready to play Vanderbilt, and they didn't know what was coming. I mean, they were definitely looking down on us, and we were about to come out, and we were a good team. And so I was a little disappointed and angry, but we got over it, and I think our team this year is at a spot that we never were last year already. So I'm really excited for that.
Dick Gabriel.
Yeah, Jimmy, I don't know if you're aware of this. Maybe it's because you're the most senior-most pitcher on the squad, but your body language is basically pretty easy to read. I mean, it's simple for us upstairs to tell if you're zoned in, if you're in that groove. Are you aware of that? Is that something that you have worked on in terms of the concentration?
Yes. Me and Coach Roselle kind of talked about how I need to just be on that predator mentality, that closer mentality every inning, coming out as if my first inning's my last inning, whatever it may be. He said you just need to be locked in on that moment, that pitch, and not worry about 4 innings down the road or second time through the lineup. He said treat every pitch like the most important pitch. So we kind of worked on that, and in the fall and the spring scrimmages so far, I've been a lot better about it, and I've been locked in. Coach Minge complimented me in the first scrimmage, saying that I came out with a closer mentality, and I was locked in from pitch 1, and it didn't take me an inning or 2 to get locked in. He said it was very impressive, and it was good to see because I came out and I was locked in from pitch 1. I didn't take a couple pitches to get locked in. And it's like, oh, well, now there's a guy on second and third. Now it's time to get locked in. It was more of I was locked in from pitch 1. I was on the attack. So we have worked on that a lot.
All right, we'll wrap up with John Wong.
Jimmy, the depth of the pitching staff is an obvious advantage to the team. It gives Coach Minge a lot of pieces to kind of move around, so that's good. But from an individual standpoint, how difficult it is for you to maintain the proper mindset of knowing that, hey, maybe my role could change, and do you have much input into what your role will be?
I try to stay out of that, and I just try to embrace whatever I'm given on the team. So whether it be a closer, reliever, middle reliever, starter, whatever it may be, I try to just lock in on that role and be the best that I can be in that role. When I was younger, like sophomore, freshman year, I kind of got wrapped up more into might not be the role that I desired most. But if I can help the team in a certain role and the coaches see me in that role being the most beneficial, then I need to lock in on that role and be the best I can be in that place at that time.
All right, guys, we appreciate it. Schedule is up online. The media guide is online if you need any of those references. And we'll be sending out some more info on media protocols and that here early next week, probably, as we get going into the season. I appreciate it. We'll also send out a replay of this for you all to use if you need it, video of today's press conferences. Thanks, guys. See you soon.
Thank you.